Welcome, everyone, back to season 3 of the Make Time podcast. I am your co-host, Emma Heming Willis. And for the season premiere, we have something a little special and different. Well, I think it's special. So my co-host, Helen Christoni, is going to interview me about my new book, which is out now, called The Unexpected Journey: Finding Hope, Strength, and Yourself on the Caregiving Path. This book I wrote is a supportive guide or roadmap to care for the caregiver. I wrote the book I wish someone would have placed in my hands the day we received our diagnosis. So without further ado, let's make time for the unexpected journey.
Hi, welcome to season 3 of the Make Time podcast. And today we're going to do something a little different. I'm so excited to be interviewing Emma today on the release of her book, The Unexpected Journey, which has been such a journey for you to write this book.
Mm-hmm. I'm so thrilled that you read it, and I'm happy that you also liked it.
Oh my God.
What a relief.
I am just so proud of you. And I love this book, Emma.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And so for just so you guys know, like Emma has really worked so hard on this, and it's been beautiful to watch you go through this journey on the unexpected journey. So let's just get into it.
Oh yeah, no, good. Ask away. Yes, go.
So the unexpected journey was a tool for people that are going through a care partner journey. So tell everybody that's listening, why is it so important that we're taking care of the care partner?
Well, care partners, being a caregiver, it's a very isolating journey. And caregivers are really unseen. And I knew that. I felt that. I realized that. And I really wanted to write a supportive, helpful guide, like a roadmap to help the next caregiver. What I realized really early on, especially once we got Bruce's FTD diagnosis, was that we left that appointment without anything. You would think that you would receive some kind of guidance or help, but there was nothing. FTD comes with no treatment. It comes with no cure. It comes with a check back in a couple months. That is what we were given. And when I left, it was just a very traumatic experience. And from that, once I was able to sort of wrap myself and pick myself back up again, I was able to start putting experts and specialists around us to really help support me as a caregiver, help support Bruce, help support our 2 young daughters, our family. And I realized that I was, gathering so much information that I knew other caregivers might not have. And this was a way to take what I have learned, bring in the experts, and be able to pass it on to the next caregiver.
Yeah. And I think what was so beautiful, like you start chapter 1 of the book is your love story with Bruce. And as someone, just taking in the book for the first time, I felt like it was so beautiful to start there with you. And it really brought me in. And I mean, I'm your friend, and I've been kind of walking some of this through you, but like really it just was so beautiful to start this unexpected journey with you when you're reading this book. And I just want to just thank you for, bringing people in, including myself, into just the magic of your relationship.
I think it was important to start there because FTD clouds everything, and it can feel very dark and lonely, and you can only sometimes just focus on that. And I wanted to remember that we have a whole life. We had a whole life prior to Bruce's diagnosis. And I wanted to really be able to bring that back, just to sort of open it up so that people could understand, our connection, and that hopefully that they could remember theirs to their person. it was one of the hardest chapters was to write that love story because I really did have to pull myself out from where I am today to look at where we started. And I had to really remember. And it was so beautiful to be beautiful and heartbreaking and sad to revisit that time because that is such a different chapter in our lives.
Yeah.
But it was important, and I'm really happy that I started the book that way. I love going back to read it, and it makes me happy.
It was really like, it was very fulfilling for my heart to start there. And I think that when everyone gets the opportunity to read the book, like you guys will too, the love story is really magical. And I'm just very happy that I was able to participate in reading it. It was just really a great place to start this. And then, when you get into chapter 2 of the book, it's making sense of the changing brain. And I really thought this was very insightful for me because you brought in Teepa Snow.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that even for me, people don't understand dementia.
No.
And they don't understand how vast it is. And, you really, in this book, you break it down so well for everybody through Teepa, through her expertise. And just it's so informative on, first of all, the 4 truths of dementia, because I don't think that people actually know what it means.
Yeah. So for people who don't know, Teepa Snow is a dementia care specialist. She's someone that I've leaned on to sort of help me fine tune my caregiving skills. And she's just a wealth of knowledge. And there was a book that I read from her. And for me, that was a really important read because then I really understood that it's important to understand what is happening in the brain and that when someone is doing or acting different, it's not by choice. It is their brain being dismantled. So it was really important for me to have a grasp of what happens when the brain changes so that most importantly, you learn how to separate your person from their disease, that you are frustrated with their disease. You are not frustrated with them. And I think that read of hers was so important. I really felt it was important to be able to share that with someone else so that they could learn to separate the two. And people really don't know much about dementia. What I learned from Teepa is that there is 120 different types of dementia. How crazy is that?
And I think that it's so interesting because, I was with Emma at a conference and we had recently lost my mother-in-law. And it was in that conference, they were talking about a form of FTD. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what my PSP, that's what my mother-in-law passed away from. And so it's like, sometimes there's so many phrases going around. It's so complicated. The list that you've put together to share insights with on the book, I think is really, really important.
Yeah, I mean, with FTD, so FTD is the most common form of dementia for people under the age of 60. It can affect people in 3 different ways. So behavior, language, or movement, like your mother-in-law.
Yeah.
And there's so much stigma with dementia. I think when, people, I'm over this, we're going to talk about dementia in hushed tones. We're not going to do that anymore. People think that dementia is only happening in people that are, our grandparents' age. It's just not true. Dementia is affecting people younger and younger. FTD is a perfect example of that. Young onset Alzheimer's is a perfect example of that. Traumatic brain injury, another example of that. So it's just important that we talk about dementia because unfortunately, it is not going away anytime soon. So that chapter was important to cover. Teepa Snow, again, if you don't know her and you're looking for some caregiving support, just knowledge she is really someone special to look up.
Well, and I think that also just the honesty of what the landscape and the future looks like for people that have dementia or a type thereof. Mm-hmm. I just think to start the book with just that level of honesty was just really informative. It was informative for me. I learned a lot. And I think that if anybody that has a loved one that has some form of dementia, it was just really insightful and very, very helpful, because I think that just the way it was broken down by type, subtype, and the four truths were really, really just very informative. So, then, I know that building community has been so important for you, and finding that. And it's been actually, as your friend, it's just been beautiful to see you really dig in to community. So just talk to us a little bit about that chapter.
Early on, I really didn't have a community. I didn't know that you were allowed to lean on a community, talk to other people. Again, this road of being a caregiver, walking through this journey of dementia is very isolating. And I had zero communication really with anyone. And once we were able to release our family statement and we could sort of more be in our truth of what is and what was happening, I just really leaned into this idea of community. I think what it was just seeing the outpour of love that Bruce received from that diagnosis, and then other spouses contacting me, and just, it was just something really, there's just something really beautiful and meaningful about that. And then it just allowed me to lean in a little harder on my FTD community, other people that are going through dementia in general, with spouses, children, adult children, all of that. So I've realized that really find your people, that they are truly out there. There are, groups that you can go into. There are ways to find your people so that, you can talk and feel seen and not feel judged or misunderstood. It's really important to find people that you trust, that you can talk to, that get it.
When I was reading this chapter, I think that one thing that struck me was, everyone goes on unexpected journeys at some point in their life. And I think that this finding your community and connection could just be translated into so many things. And so I really think that it was very beautiful for me to read. And I really think that so many people can get so much out of just how to reach out, find people that are going through something similar to you, and just build some connections. I thought it was just so beautiful. Then we had, and I love this chapter because it's Make Time podcast, that you really dug into making time and how important that is when you're a caregiver or a care partner.
Yeah, it's so easy to, well, I'll speak for myself, I just lost myself in my caregiving journey completely. Because, we are doing so much, we are handling so much. And, we also have two young daughters. So it's easy in general, as women, we put ourselves last on our list. And especially if you add being a caregiver on there too, it is, you are caring for someone else. Like their lives are literally in your hands. So it's so easy for caregivers to put ourselves on the back burner. But I realized that by me not caring for myself or making time for myself, I was just burning the candle at both ends. And when you do that, then it's impossible to think that you can care for someone else if you are not caring for yourself first. And what I say is that it is not selfish, it is self-preserving. And we want to care for our people. We want to show up for them and for our children and, for our friends and our family. But we really have to think about ourselves. And for me, it was about, my health, making time to find hobbies, just to be able to disconnect a little bit from the world of being a caregiver.
You really gave the readers actionable tips on ways they could make time. And I just love how you acknowledge how it looks different for everybody, and what, you make time for, like gardening. You were talking about your love of gardening and how you started with a corner in the book. I think it was really great. And what this might look like to other people that are going through this, And so I think that the making time chapter was really great. And I loved the actionable tips.
Yeah. I mean, I think I like the idea of making time. I think for me, it is very actionable. What are the things I want to make time for as opposed to this idea of self-care, which I feel has just been so watered down and just overused. And when I hear people talk about self-care, I'm like, oh, I don't even know what that means. But making time is actionable. There are, what are the things that we want to make time for? And again, for me, I love, my form of meditation is gardening, getting out there, weeding, planting, just having something that feels very much in my control, which is really nice. But yeah, I give a lot of tips and ideas because sometimes you just, it's just sometimes so hard as a caregiver to think about all the things. That's why I tried to list ideas because sometimes that's all I want. I'm like, can someone just tell me what to do? Give me some ideas. Tell me what to do so I don't have to think about every single thing. I tried in this book to have the ideas for the caregiver so they can just stop having that overload of like decision making fatigue. I really wanted to just simplify this and be able to just, take the mystery out of it. Like here are some ideas. See if this resonates with you. See if this might spark something and go and try.
In the book, there's these moments of reflection after each question, and Emma gives these prompts that you can really like fill out and kind of apply it to yourself and like what's going on with you, your family. And I really appreciated the moments in between the chapters to stop and reflect.
Yeah.
And I also, when I was reading it, I was like, wow, this really reminds me of Michelle Bender, who, because I mean, she was your collaborator on the book. And I was like, wow, I had some insights on this. This is such writing prompts here to get it out rather than keeping it in.
And I think that, when you're reading a book, it's so internal. And we wanted to also be able to make it external as well. And we talk, one of the tips I talk about is journaling and being able to write or in general, instead of keeping things in, it is better out than in. So whatever that is, if it's talking to someone, if it's writing, we have some of these prompts that allows you to just write. And write on the pages of the book and, just sort of make it kind of like a workbook, something that's actionable, not something that just you read and then you have forgotten about,
Yeah, I thought it was really great. And I loved that I had some like insight, even though I didn't know that I had insight on where it came from. I was like, yes, Michelle and Emma really like leaned in here on the prompts and getting people thinking about what's going on with them personally. And so it's great how you can really like just put your own stuff down and like make it about your personal situation. And you really gave people like, you gave them permission to kind of participate in this. And so with their own unexpected journeys, I thought that was really beautiful. And I really appreciated the prompts. And then as your friend, when you were really digging into the emotional roller coaster that this has been, and just everything from shock, trauma, ambiguous grief, guilt. I mean, you really were
anger, resentment, all the things.
I mean, you really went there.
Yeah, I went there.
I really was like, I thought it was so helpful.
Yeah.
Because people like, you just don't know what people are dealing with. Like we walk through this society and nobody really understands kind of like what's going on with people personally, what things that they're taking care of at home. And so I just think your honesty about just all of the emotions that come with something like this and ways to deal with them was really powerful.
I think when you're not a caregiver from the outside, I think people just think caregivers are sad and they have so much grief, and they absolutely do. But there we are, for me and for other caregivers, and I know this because I have conversations with other caregivers, there's so much more than just the sadness and the grief. There is anger and there is resentment, and people don't talk about that. And I just thought it was really important to be really honest about what we feel, what I feel as a caregiver, caring for someone who I deeply love and will do anything for. But I am human as well, and I am having a human experience, as we all are. And caregiving is hard, and it is not just one note; it is many notes. And I really wanted to be able to say that and let people know that it is okay. It doesn't make you a bad person because you are resentful or you're angry, or, we are human beings. And I just wanted to be honest in this book. And that's really what has been so helpful and healing for me, is that when I had those feelings, I felt like such a terrible person. Like, I can't believe I have these feelings, and like no one else has these feelings. And I am like the worst person in the world, where in actuality, I'm not the only person having these feelings. As I started speaking to other caregivers and connecting and speaking to my therapist, who was, doing sessions with another woman whose husband had young onset Alzheimer's, and just realizing that like what I am feeling and going through is very normal. So I just thought it was important to share so that others don't feel alone like I did. It's just I'm trying to just normalize this conversation in a way.
I think that also, I said this before, like when people go on an unexpected journey, that you just don't have there's not a toolkit or a guidebook for this sort of thing. And so I think just allowing yourself to just be so open about all the different feelings that are coming up and have come and gone or come back up. I just think it just really gives people permission, you know? So I think that was just I was really touched by that chapter.
I feel like that's what this book is really about, is just giving permission on many different levels to be able to feel what you feel, permission to know that it's okay to ask for help and that you're not a failure if you do. I needed so much permission. I didn't realize that. I needed, Bruce's neurologist or a friend or another caregiver to tell me certain things that I didn't know was okay. And so I wanted to be able to take not just my voice, but the voice of other care partners and the voice of experts and specialists. It's not just me saying, oh, you must make time and care for yourself. There is also all the experts in this book that really lend their voice and give caregivers permission. And to hear it from someone else, I thought was really important for me. And I felt like that would be important and of service to someone else too.
Yeah, I really thought it was beautiful and very honest and pragmatic.
Very pragmatic. It's funny, when you had read the book, and then my other friend Tracy read the book, and that was the word that came in on the same day, was that the book is very pragmatic. And I'm like, that is the way my brain works.
Yes, definitely.
Make it make sense.
Yeah, it's definitely like a journey of you, putting really tangible things to this conversation. And I think that it was just super helpful. And one of my favorite chapters in the book was about parenting while caregiving.
I'm so happy that you loved that chapter.
My favorite chapter, because I think that there are other people's involved. Like you always say, this is like a family's diagnosis. This is a family's disease. And it just affects everybody. And, really leaning into how to have these conversations with kids, no matter the age, and
no matter what it is. I mean, yes, obviously this book is a very FTD dementia focused book, but I thought that chapter was helpful when you are talking to a child about really anything.
Anything unexpected. I mean, I think this was like a reoccurring thing for me in this book. It's like there's a lot of things, and in this book where I could apply it to my own life, to lives of my friends and people that I know. Like, what a resource. But as it really relates to the kids, just the way you broke it down by age group and kind of gave tips on how much or how little and when to really like share with children what's going on. And I really just thought it was very, very helpful because it's like kids are everyone tries to protect their children, of course, from difficult things. And I think that, some of the insights from your own experience with Mabel and Evelyn in this book and things like Evelyn with, when she talks about how people that have dementia can get dehydrated. And I mean, there's some beauty in this journey, and kids are so resilient. And this was one of my favorite chapters in the book. And I think the toolkit that you've provided here is very valuable.
So the expert that helped with that was Megan Graham, and she is someone that has been super instrumental for me being able to, help navigate our two young children through this and to really help me understand how to communicate with them properly. Because what I wanted to do was just lie about it.
I mean,
like it's, you want to protect your kids. But what I have realized and what I have learned is that it is, as hard as these conversations are, it is so important to be honest. I'm going to cry. It's so important to be honest with our children. And again, these are hard conversations, but important ones to have. And I feel like Megan did a really great job with sort of breaking down the ages, how to approach, these certain conversations. And I really loved that chapter too. There was a little pushback on that chapter, which I pushed back on that one too, because I just think, my book is about a young onset dementia, FTD. And what happens to most families navigating FTD is that you have young children. And even with young onset Alzheimer's, you have young children. So I know that there is going to be a community of people within my FTD community, within the young onset Alzheimer's community, that will pick up this book and that chapter is there for them. And what's beautiful, I think, about this book, and I say it, is that you don't have to read this book from page 1 to the end. You can read it as you see fit, whatever chapter feels right for you. And if you are not navigating young children through this diagnosis, you can skip that chapter.
Yeah. And I was talking to Emma earlier about this, is that sometimes like that advice can be, used on people of all ages, despite what they can handle, like how much or how little, because I think when people are in the middle of a crisis, like you're only so able sometimes. So I think there's just really great information, not only for kids, but also for grown adults, or adult children. So I think one thing, it has been so difficult for you to, bring in help, and I think that it's been like in the kind of help and the way you did it and the way you explained it in the book. I just thought that, I think allowing people, and this kind of goes also with letting friends and family take care of you, just like bringing people in and saying like, I need help, first of all, is so hard for so many.
Oh, we all want to be self-sufficient. We don't want to burden anyone else. We want to take everything on ourselves. And, that's what I thought that I must do. It is my duty to, if I ask anyone for help. It wasn't even in my thought process. It was like, I have this. I'm going to figure this out. But what I realized is that caregiving is not a solo mission, and we shouldn't be doing this alone. And it is important for us to be given the permission to know that it's okay to ask for help. And a neurologist, one of Bruce's neurologists, says that, it's time. You need to start figuring this out. in a different way than how you are doing it, because it is not sustainable to be able to do it by yourself. So my message to caregivers is that the sooner that you can start wrapping your head around asking for help, allowing family and friends to really come in and help when they are asking, well, if there's anything I can do, please let me know, that you will say, actually, there is. I need help. And it's okay to ask for help. And people do want to help. They do want to be of service. They do want to help you. And you have to trust that and honor that too. I think of my husband in so many ways. He loved having more help. We need more people. We need more this. We need more that. And, I just have that in my head, like where I want to do it all on my own because that's how I was raised.
Yeah.
He's like, no, bring in the help, bring in the people, bring in the troops.
I love it. I think that, one thing about I think the messaging for me, it was very clear. And I loved how you kept coming back to that. If you've gotten to this point in the book, you've realized that you cannot do this alone. Mm-hmm. And I think that was just a very reoccurring theme. And I appreciated the reminder.
Oh, I reminded the hell out of it.
Yeah. And so I think that was really pragmatic of you to keep coming back to that point because you really get the message. It's okay to have people help you and to investigate this. And I think one of the things that I love how you broke it down and actually gave other tangible ways how people can help, different ways they can help. Love that.
Well, again, we decision fatigue for caregivers. And I really tried to say, look, you don't know what you need help with. Here are some things I'm going to tell you I'm sure you need help with, so that you can write that list or refer back to that chapter and be like, oh, I got to, if there's anything you can do, please let me know. Yeah, here we go. Here's 3 things you could do that could be really helpful to me. As opposed to the caregiver saying, oh, it's okay. Thank you. I got it. We're fine. No, we're not. We're not fine. We need help.
Yeah. And I think also that the personal reflections here were really great. So you could really identify ways that that are personal to you or your own circumstances that would really kind of where's the overload happening, and identifying different ways where you actually really need help. I mean, some people don't even know where to start.
Yeah. It's a lot. And I think, what I've seen with being able to have more support and help for me as a caregiver has allowed me to get back to my original role of being able to just be Bruce's wife, which has been, I'm going to cry again, such a blessing for me to be able to have support. So I could just be with him, just to be in these moments with him where I can sit with him, hold his hand, because years ago that wasn't possible for me. I was all over the place, doing this, doing that, over here, picking up this prescription, it was crazy. And just made me more angry and unhappy and mad and sad. And now I just really am allowed to be with him. And I'm so grateful for those moments. So grateful.
Yeah. And I think, I just remember when you were trying to figure this all out, and it was just what is happening? And I think that, you talk about the importance of therapy or having one place where you can really dump everything that's going on in your head. And I myself, I'm also in therapy, and I think it's so important to have that feeling dump.
Yeah, especially for someone who isn't a family member, friend. It is a neutral person who you can really just allow. That space is there for you to be open and honest and not be filtered.
Yeah.
Just be raw to be able to get these feelings out. It is really important to be able to download.
Yeah. I completely agree. And so I think that, the reframing the journey conversation that you have here in chapter 10 was very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, you and I frequently have the conversation about turning pain into purpose
Mm-hmm.
and really having that be the opportunity. And so I think that, just the ways you can reframe things, the reframing every day. You talked about how you wake up and you're intentional about being grateful and what can you do that day to make a difference with purpose. And I think that intentional piece, wrapping it up there,
Mm-hmm.
was very important to me because a lot of people, I think, are just so run over by illness, being a care partner, when things go sideways in life, that just setting some intentions and being directional can be so important to them. So can you talk a little bit about, the advocacy that you do and how you've really pivoted? Because I've had a front seat to this, so I think
Mm-hmm.
it's important.
Yeah, I think what it was I realized that I had a choice, and where I was at and feeling was um, just really dark. It was just a really dark, sad time. And I really had to pull myself out of it. I had to make the choice to pull myself out of that. It's not that I don't still have sadness and grief and trauma and it's all there. It's all right here all the time. But I have also learned um, and realized that it's okay to also bring in joy and fun and laughter. And that also that my husband would want that for not only me, but for our two young children. And I needed to find a way, I needed to learn how to balance these two. And what I realized was that, um, what were those things that could help balance that? And the advocacy has been really important for me to be able to connect deeper with a community, to be able to give back in a way has really balanced things for me. To be able to have some meaning out of something that feels really hard and terrible. I wanted to be able to take it and just give FTD, just tell it, fuck off. Excuse my language. But, you're not going to keep putting us in a corner. You're not going to take down our whole family. That's not going to happen. We are going to write our story. FTD is not going to write our story. And this is how I'm going to take some of our power back. And, that has really been such a motivator to me. And to be able to help someone else, God, geez, it feels so good.
Yeah.
It really does. And again, what I say in the book is that, if you are not ready to reframe this journey, I get it. And you also don't have to read that chapter. You can wait. And then when you feel ready, just take a peek and see ways to be able to reframe. It's not this toxic positivity type thing. You do have to be ready for it. It's funny. I was just in Sacramento yesterday amongst other advocates. And, we were there, we were outside, we were taking a picture, and we were laughing and hugging and smiling. And I just thought oh my God, it's so beautiful to see them, in this place where they can, we are sad and we are unhappy, but we're also just so joyful and together and smiling with each other. And there was a point in my life where I never thought I would be able to be happy. I did not think that I could get there. So I understand that when you start this journey, it feels so dark and you really don't believe that there will be light at this tunnel or cracks of light. But I promise you that there will, but you just have to be open to be able to allow it in, to bring it in. But you also have to be ready for that. And again, in those early times I was not ready for that. And I can't believe that here I am now where I've like learned to live and laugh and be able to be present in my life while also grieving.
Yeah.
We're incredible human beings. We are a lot stronger than we think. We are so capable
Yeah.
of so much. So that's part of the reframe chapter.
And I agree with you. We are built from so much that we are capable of so much.
Mhm.
And so I think just kind of giving yourself a break and actually believing in yourself also that you can just walk through this, one step at a time. So I think after reading this book, my takeaway, Emma, is that this is such a beautiful tool for people. And, dementia is everybody's story. Like it touches everyone
Mhm.
in some way. And, I lost my grandmother to dementia. I was much younger. And I wish that someone had given me this book,
Mhm.
because it would have helped me understand what I was feeling, what she was going through, and all the beautiful people around her, that I was so, so grateful for. It would have really it would have been so helpful for me
Mhm.
then. And then also with Tim's mom,
Yeah.
I think that with Tim's mom, this book would have been really helpful for Tim, for myself, for her beautiful husband that was her care partner. And so I think that for people, like if you know somebody that is on this path, or has someone in their life that has dementia, what a beautiful tool that you've written for people.
I mean, I wish someone would have put that in my hand when we walked out of that doctor. So that's the deal. I mean, I wrote the book that I wish someone would have handed me the day that we received our diagnosis of FTD. Again, we left with nothing, no support, no nothing. And, I really had to just sort of figure that out. And I was able to. And, I do. I really believe that it is a supportive roadmap, a supportive guide to help the next caregiver, and it's helped me immensely. It's been so healing to write. I enjoyed this process of writing this book so much. I'm really proud of the book. I really do believe if it's helped me, it's going to help someone else. The specialists, the experts that we have in this book are just, so insightful, so so top notch, and people don't have the energy, the time, sometimes the resources to be able to access. And, because honestly, because of who Bruce is, we have access that some people don't.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be able to share that with others. And so I'm happy you liked the book. I hope our listeners will like it too.
I love the book. Another descriptor. I love the book.
Thank you.
I love you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm so proud.
Thank you very much. All right.
And so while we're wrapping up today, I'm going to ask you what we ask everybody when we wrap up
Damn.
this podcast. Emma, what are you not making time for that you're going to commit to making time for today?
I think that, again, it is so easy for me to revert back to isolation, to not reaching out. I'm not really talking a full game in this book. I mean, I am not some like enlightened caregiver doing it perfectly and I got it all figured out. I don't have it figured out. I am navigating this in real time. And, but it's easy for me to hole up and isolate and just turn down invites and not have the energy to be able to get out there. But so saying yes more to walks with friends, coffee dates, lunch. I would say that's what I'm going to make more time for. Friendship.
I love it.
Thank you.
So if you'd like to learn more about Emma, you can go to emmahemingwillis.com And there's lots of information about her book and everything she's doing, her book tours, everything. You can find it there on her website. And then you can also find her on social.
That's
Emma
right.
Heming Willis.
Emma Heming Willis. That's right. Helen, thank you so much for having me on the podcast today.
Thank you for letting me interview you and allowing
this
me
was
to
so
read
special.
this beautiful book.
I love it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for making time, everyone. Love you. Love you, Helen. Oh. Thanks for joining us today. We hope that listening to our podcast has empowered you to make more time for yourself. So make sure to subscribe, please leave a review, and share with a friend who could use a healthy reminder on the importance of making time.
And make sure to keep tuning in as we will continue to bring on incredible guests to share their Make Time tips on our upcoming episodes. And come say hi over at Make Time Pod or visit us at maketimewellness.com.
Until next time, make time.